Sunbelt QBs finding new homes. Are they good fits? Let's talk about it next. Lockdown Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, everybody. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Rougiet. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rougiet ready. Fast. Feel present. Feel confident. Feel ready. All right. I apologize for the late posting of this podcast. Came home. I was exhausted yesterday for no real reason and plopped down, passed out. So figured we'd get up early before we worked out, which is at 10 o'clock, and maybe a little bit before that. And so we'll get the day going underway. All right. We got Sunbelt Hoops, and we'll look at that. Maybe a little Thursday night hoops as well. And what can be done about the portal? There is all kinds of things going on in the portal. I mean, and LSU, of course, is in the middle of it. That's Moscona's podcast, so he's got you covered there. But I'm just looking kind of big picture. All right. We do have, and again, it's a day off, but we're going to work out. We may have some bourbon later on, but I'm just holding up a coffee cup where it says, this could be bourbon. It's not. Should be. Could be, but it's not. All right. So Sunbelt QBs finding new homes. Okay. What I am interested in for these players is as much money as they can get. All right. And a chance to succeed. All right. Now, your definition or my definition of chance to succeed, does that mean taking it to the next level? Maybe. I said in yesterday's episode, I'm not sure Alonza Barnett III is an NFL quarterback. All right. Maybe. But he needs to cash in as much as he can this year. All right. And he's in a good spot, UCF. All right. That's pretty good. And so hopefully he's getting as much as he can. Now, maybe he's an NFL quarterback. That's more of a me thing than a him thing. Whereas we think Colton Joseph, a little bit bigger, a little bit more athletic. Maybe he does have an NFL future. All right. But is Wisconsin the right fit there? Right? They have all kinds of issues with their coach and what they're trying to do Big Ten wise, and it has gone in the opposite way. And despite having one of the biggest alumni bases and school enrollment going, they do not invest in their athletic program, apparently. All right. They do it on the cheap, trying to compete with Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State, and even Northwestern, maybe. Iowa, and certainly Oregon, USC, and Washington. So we'll see if that's the right spot for Colton Joseph. North Carolina turned out not to be the right spot for Gio Lopez. Does Gio Lopez come back to South Florida or to South Alabama? Is that a thing? I don't know. Because remember, now you can't do what Gio Lopez did, or not. It's not what Gio Lopez did. It's the process where he was coming back. Bill Belichick got the Carolina job late, and after spring ball, they gave Gio Lopez the bag. All right, and hopefully he got it all. All right, the reports were $2 million per year for 2 years. Now, he's reportedly going into the portal. Does that mean they were taking his money away? Did he not sign a 2-year contract? We really need to see some of these contracts because that's the thing. All right, so what do we got for, quarterbacks from the Sun Belt leaving? So you got Colton Joseph going to Wisconsin. We got Alonza Barnett III at UCF. We got A.J. Swann at Mississippi State. Is he really going to start at Mississippi State, or do they just give him a little bit of money? Because with all due respect, the man's a walking interception. All right. He's a human interception. I'm not sure what they're doing. We'll get to Jeff Lebby here in a second. And the latest one was J.C. French to Cincinnati. someone got on the comments to ask me what I think about him because I'm not sure he's reached his potential. Interestingly, that his percentage completions were more consistent towards the end of this season because they were winning more. But he had a good completion percentage against Old Dominion, and they lost 45-10. So that's neither here nor there. So I think also, if you look at his interceptions, by the way, he threw 8 interceptions this year. 3 were in one game. Last year, he threw 11 interceptions. 7 were in 2 games. So he's not quite the walking interception that we've seen, that maybe we thought of in the past. So those are the 5 quarterbacks, I think, that have moved on. I'm not sure if A.J. Swann is going to be the starter for Mississippi State or not. But again, we're looking for best opportunity and most money, right, personally. And so you have 2 running backs, the 2 freshman running backs from last year who did pretty well, right? Ahmad Hardy, basically the best running back in the SEC. I guess you got Lacey with more touchdowns, but Hardy, I think, led the SEC in yardage, and he made a bag. And Missouri was pretty good, not great, but pretty good. And he made a lot of money. But him and Lacey, basically, who is the best running back in the SEC and who's the number 1 running back taken in the draft the following year. And then you have Fluff Bothwell, who I admittedly thought he's going to the worst Power 4 program in America, Mississippi State. And Jeff Lebby played in a bowl game this year. So he got things turned around in year number 2, much better than I thought they were going to be. And Fluff was a big part of that until he got banged up a little bit. So hopefully he's okay coming back, and hopefully he's going to get more money. All right. Remember, Fluff was not recruited at all. All right. It was not recruited much by anybody, right? And he went to high school in Mississippi, I think. And so they missed on him. All right. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Oneonta High School. Let's see. Oneonta, Alabama. All right, sorry. Was in Alabama. Nonetheless, it's right next door. I mean, how do you miss these guys? All right. It's not like Auburn not recruiting Quinshon Judkins because they didn't want him. They certainly knew about him, but they didn't make an effort to go get him. That's a different thing. And so those 2 guys landed in good spots with good opportunities is the point. And you're hoping that these quarterbacks do as well. All right. Do they get to be the starting quarterback? Is there competition? Do they get paid? If they're not the starter, how does any of this work? Because, again, everybody, coaches, administrators, NIL, agents for that fact of the matter, all flying by the seat of our pants. And how does this work? If I'm signing to go to your school, am I automatically the starting quarterback? Do I need to be the starting quarterback to get my money? How does any of that work? So hopefully it's the right fit for all these guys. The one that would concern me, Jaylen Raynor at Iowa State. That's interesting because there was they don't have it too deep. And when this portal opened up, everybody left. And so you're hoping, first of all, he doesn't get killed, on the football field. And I don't know if that was his only spot. So you're hoping it's the right fit because some of these other may be the right fit and they may have money, but maybe Iowa State gave him the most money. It could be as simple as that. I don't know. But you want these kids to succeed. And there is some shadiness going on, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. All right. So let me know what you think. Did I get them all right? Colton to Wisconsin, Alonza Barnett. I probably should write this down. Alonza Barnett to UCF, J.C. French to Cincinnati, Jaylen Raynor to Iowa State, and A.J. Swann to Mississippi State. So we'll see how that all works out. Maybe A.J. improves. All right, maybe he gets better. Maybe he gets the bag and plays well in the SEC. All right, we got some Sunbelt hoops coming up tonight. We'll talk about that when we come back right after I tell you about FanDuel. College football playoff is here, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite when you think a team controls the matchup. Take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset coming, or build a parlay around the players and moments you think decide the game. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get in on the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, we got a couple of ball games tonight in the Sunbelt. Be able to watch that. They're both back at night, of course, compared to the day games on New Year's Eve day. James Madison hosting Marshall. This is a nice little matchup. Interestingly, that JMU is favored by 2.5. All right, that may be more about being at home than anything else, because they are coming off a nice win against Arkansas State. Maybe a game that Arkansas State blew, but JMU, that's a nice win. All right. But they had lost 3 in a row at Old Dominion, at Georgia Southern, and got blown out by Arkansas. All right. Then they come back and they do salvage one game on the road trip and get that 78-74 win over Arkansas State. Now they get Marshall, and Marshall's pretty good. All right. JMU is 8-7, 1-2 in the Sun Belt. Marshall is 10-5 and 2-1 in the Sun Belt. And again, this is not about who you think is going to win. This, to me, it's about being favored. And I thought Marshall would be favored by a little bit because they are playing better. All right. They have won 5 out of 6. They beat Western Kentucky 77-61. They beat Wright State 76-74. They did lose to Troy in Alabama 70-63. Blew out West Virginia Tech 102-52. Beat Georgia State 84-80, and then beat App State 88-81. All right, so they are playing extremely well. All right, and even some of those losses in there, UNC Wilmington, 1-point loss at UNC Wilmington. At Ohio, 88-81. All right, so I mean, maybe now we're seeing why, as I talk myself into it, why JMU would be a slight favorite at home. All right. Even though I think Marshall is the better basketball team. Again, it takes maybe one game to get JMU going. So to me, this is a toss-up. I have no idea which way this is going to go. I haven't seen either one play very much, if at all. Maybe I saw one of those end of the Marshall ball games. I feel like I saw the end of one of those Marshall ball games. Maybe it was Georgia State. I feel like I saw that one. Yeah, I feel like I saw the end of that game. All right. But we'll see if we will be watching that here tonight. All right. The other ball game in the Sun Belt on Wednesday. By the way, ESPN has JMU winning at 56.5% to 43.5%. That seems almost 50-50, not quite. The other ball game tonight in the Sun Belt is Troy and Arkansas State, and that is a great matchup. Arkansas State, slight favorites at home, as you would think, 3.5. Arkansas State is 10-5 under Ryan Pannone, 2-1 in the Sun Belt. Troy Scott Cross, 3-0 in the Sun Belt, and 10-5. All right, this is going to be a great matchup. Over under is 157.5. Interesting, because I think they both score a bunch of points, right? Let's see if we get Troy averages 86.5, and that's down because South Alabama held them to 59. And see what Arkansas State averages. Arkansas State averages 83. So instead of adding those two together and coming up with 169, right? The over-under is in the 150s. All right, so we'll see how that goes. So this could be a fun game to watch. Arkansas State's actually got some, obviously, tough loss at home to JMU, so they're going to be pumped up. I feel like they've lost some games at home, but have won on the road. They did lose a tough ball game, which they blew to Rice. Absolutely. I mean, Arkansas State is playing pretty well. The loss to JMU notwithstanding. They have won 7 out of their last 9 with 2 very disappointing losses. They lost to Rice 77-76 in a ball game they absolutely blew down the stretch, and probably should have beaten James Madison. So they are playing very well. They got a win over Jack State, North Dakota State, UT Arlington, Little Rock, facing a couple of former Sun Belt opponents. They hammered Texas State, took care of Southern Miss, and beat Arkansas State, whoever they are. And so they're playing very well. Troy, on the other hand, is also playing well. They've won 5 in a row, including a hard-fought 59-49 win over South Alabama. They hit a couple of threes late to make that a 10-point ball game. They did lose to West Georgia 93-89, but that's about it. They beat St. Francis, so they've won 5 in a row and 6 out of 7. So they're pretty good. Even their losses, my goodness, losing. They lost to USC 107-106, and then I think there was like a scheduling snafu where they played almost like the next day after coming back from the West Coast and didn't have their legs underneath them, and they lost to Toledo at home 75-68. But other than a trip up against West Georgia, they're playing very well. This is a good basketball game. All right. I mean, this game, if you're the Sun Belt, this is the game you want on. Last year, I feel like this game would have been on TV if it wasn't already on TV. You do have South Alabama and Georgia Southern, which is a good matchup. We'll see if Georgia Southern is for real. That's coming Saturday. All right. Neither of those two teams are playing early this week, so they'll both be rested. But Georgia Southern will travel to South Alabama, and South Alabama is still dealing with some injuries, trying to figure out their rotations. And Georgia Southern is the hottest team in the conference. They're 9-0. So I don't think I'm touring on Saturday, so I may be able to sneak a peek. Just saying. So that's a great matchup. So we will try to watch both those ball games. JMU Marshall starts at 7. Arkansas State and Troy starts at 8 Eastern time. So I do get the benefit of that. Still not a fan of Eastern time zones. Even though I don't know if I've lived here. I guess I've lived here most of my life, just a decade doing sports talk in the South. Love Central time zone. Love the Central time zone. All right, let's talk transfer portal because it is an absolute mess. Again, for more of the details about what's going on at LSU, go to Locked On LSU with Matt Moscone. He'll have all of that. But it is fascinating what is going on with the portal and how the players are dictating, how the schools are dictating. We'll talk all about it next. And can anything be done about it? Will anything be done about it? Talk about that right after I tell you about Rougiet. Let's talk about something most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rougiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rougiet Ready is next generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body. So you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rougiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Most men are ready in about 15 minutes on average, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnCollege. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rougiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Again, apologies for the tardiness of this, but I came home, plopped on the bed for 5 minutes, and out cold. So we are doing it first thing-ish on a day off before we go work out. All right, so we'll have it all ready. It'll probably be 8:30 Wednesday morning. Okay. What can be done about the transfer portal? All right, so it is, we thought it was crazy before, but it's absolutely insane. So again, we do hope, and we're seeing all kinds of, we mentioned this before, all kinds of issues. Gio Lopez, did he sign a 2-year deal? Did he get the money? Belichick brought in a different quarterback, and Gio at one report said he was going to stay, and now he's in the portal. All right. How much money did he get when he come back to South Alabama? Obviously, that did not work out. We have Zion Chris, who it appeared he went from the Cajuns to Houston, didn't get the money he was supposed to get, was transferring to Southern University, go play for Marshall Faulk, but now he's headed to Tulane in Will Hall. I don't think those two paths cross. Former Cajuns offensive coordinator. They could have crossed as a Southern Miss head coach. And so all kinds of issues there. But now you have literally Lane Kiffin sitting with Sam Leavitt at an LSU game. And by the way, on a side note, Lane ain't off to a great start. So far, I think he's 0-2. Now, not to get too far sidetracked, LSU was getting killed by South Carolina. They made it a game. They still lost. So Lane Kiffin has attended 2 LSU ball games, 1 women and 1 men, and they have lost both of them early, getting embarrassed by South Carolina. And meanwhile, I guess he's talking to one quarterback sitting next to him, and you got another quarterback who apparently signed with his team, but is leaving. All right. DeMond Williams from Washington signed a contract, agreed to a contract. I don't know if he signed it, but agreed to a contract, and now he's backed out of that. And so is that Lane Kiffin getting Sam Leavitt over here and Williams over there? How's that going to work out? Are they both going to go to LSU? They both ain't going to get paid. The one thing LSU learned, whether it was Brian Kelly or Lane Kiffin, you better have that offensive line right. You better spend some money on those 2 tackles. And so it is insane on what is going on right now. And then everybody has figured out, kind of moving down the line, what's going to happen here in a few years. And it's obvious that the G5 schools are recruiting the high school kids, developing them for 1, 2, or 3 years. And then the P4 schools scooping them up. And so the high school kids aren't getting recruited by the P4. We'll let, the Sun Belt and the American and Conference USA develop all our players and coaches, for that fact of the matter. And we'll bring them up when they're mature and ready to play in the Power 4, is what they think. All right. And now also, so this is what's not going to happen. All right. This is, I don't know where this is going to happen. So again, college has not changed their business model, if you will. Okay. Coaches are still getting outlandish money. So are athletic directors. They're trying to find more money. They haven't shifted any money, all right, to the players. They're just asking for more, right? So no one's taking a pay cut. They're still under the same business model before. They're just asking people for more money. Like the AD for Ohio State said, thanks very much for a great year. We need more money. Crazy. So they haven't changed anything. And so what is not going to happen, although it should, but it's not, is that if the G5 are developing the players, then the P4 takes them, the G5 should get paid for that player. Yeah, that's not going to happen because they only have so much money to begin with. They're trying to figure out how to do the $20 million through the school, which is good for all of the athletes at the school. All right. And then they're going to come up with more money for the other schools. I understand it seems fair. That's the right thing to do. It's just not really going to happen. That's not realistically. Again, if the NCAA is waiting on Congress to do that, it's not going to happen. All right. If the NCAA is waiting for Nick Saban to come in here and save them from themselves, that's not going to happen either. All right. You do need somebody to step up and just say, the person who it's probably going to be honest with you, is going to be Greg Sankey. He's the most powerful person in college football, or I guess it could be him and Jimmy Sexton. But they just all care about the money. They don't really care about what's right. My guy John Momola. Oh no, I'm sorry, wrong. My guy Dimitri Ravenos wrote a column that's saying, basically, don't blame the player, blame the game. That Greg Sankey's job, just like Roger Goodell's job, is to create the most revenue for their programs. And that's what Greg Sankey's doing, right? So when he argues that they should get more teams in the college football playoff, it's not necessarily because he thinks they should belong, but it's because that school gets more money and then they split whatever money is left. So that's his job. It's going to be very difficult to get somebody to come in here and say, here are our rules. All right. This is, you got to, there's like a standard contract for the NFL. There's standard contracts for the NBA, basically. All right. Some good agents are good at getting more for the players. I think there was a holdout somewhere. An A&M player was holding out. Was that Cincinnati? Because or maybe it was the Chargers. I don't know. But the whatever the standard contract was, the team was not willing to do it. All right. So there has to be you get a standard NIL contract, whatever that is, or pay for play, which we don't like saying, but that's basically what it is now. And you should be able to sign it. All right. And it should come with, here are some accountants and here are some investment people. All right. Just to let you know where this money is going. Because the last thing we need is a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds spending millions of dollars and all of a sudden graduating, banged up their knee, and now got nothing. Which is what they had before, but they didn't get the money to spend. So someone's going to have to stand up and say, this is the way we're going to do things. I don't know, is there somebody as powerful as Greg Sankey? Right? I mean, people would listen to Nick Saban. He's certainly not going to have the G5, although that's where he played college football. He's not going to have the G5 in his priorities, but there are so many things that just players are taking advantage of the schools. All right. It's amazing that you can have DeMond Williams sign an agreement and say, no, thanks. So I don't know, even, the coaches who leave, like LSU had to pay the Lane Kiffin buyout, right? They had to pay Ole Miss, or Lane Kiffin did, but it's usually the school coming calling. So there is some financial ramifications when that happens. If you sign a deal, you may have to go give some money back. All right. Whatever that is. So the problem is you can't start suing players because then no one's going to come play for you. That's the initial argument, is that if Washington goes after DeMond Williams, either financially or legally, that's just not going to work out for the University of Washington in the short term or the long term. All right. All they'll tell you is just live up to your agreement. Yeah, but I'm not. If I change my mind, I can't get sued. So that's going to be a problem. So there is. I'd love to hear what you guys think that should be done in the portal. We've had a lot of good suggestions on the playoffs, but what can be done about the portal? They've limited it to one time, so that's not bad. You're going to get. We'll see. Someone's going to sue for that too. All right. I lost my starting job, or new coach came in. We don't get along. We'll see how long that lasts. All right. Right now, they're supposed to be, this is the only portal for football. We'll see how long that lasts. All right. Again, sorry for the delay. Appreciate your guys' support. Can still use some more subscribers. So please help me out with that. We want to get to 3,000 by opening day of baseball, and that's February 13th. Have started to reach out, and I'll reach out to the rest of the SIDs. Kind of a heads up. I presume they've started practice, but I don't know how much they know about their teams yet. But I want to set this up for the last couple weeks of January and the first couple weeks of February. Want to see if we can get them all in before it starts. Usually I'm way behind, but a little bit different of a shift here. We're way ahead. So just kind of a heads up. We're looking to get them back on the podcast. And so hopefully we can get all the 14 head coaches on. We got a bunch of them last year. I think 9 or 10. We did a pretty good job last year. All right. And I appreciate all of their time. All right. We do have, allegedly, a new AD joining us for Thursday. Sean Tui, SJ Tui, is going to hop on from ULM, we think. All right. That's the plan. We'll see if that plan comes to fruition. That should be Thursday's episode. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt. I got a couple of days off. We're going to hit the gym. Have a great day, everybody. You've been watching and listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Talk to you again on Thursday.